Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you all for being here on time. And again, thank you for your patience with the links of um, the Zoom links for the meeting. Um, uh, I just want to make sure that you change your name to include your pronouns. It's very important for us. Um, that you keep yourself on mute while others are speaking, and please share in the chat whether you are interested in software engineer or interested in Techtonica. I was telling the other people in the other Zoom link that we will record this session, and feel free to remind me at the end of this session that we need to take a group screenshot. Um, I will try to not forget that, but I will also appreciate any reminding about this. Um, Saying that, I just want to wait for 2 more minutes in order in case that somebody is still confused about the links and things like that. Uh,
So I see a lot of people that don't have your pronouns. To fix that, you hover over your picture and click the 3 little dots on top of your name. And rename is kind of in the middle of the options. And so you're going to rename yourself and add your pronouns on there, please. So make sure you have your name and your pronouns. And it's important that you have the name that you put in that you want us to call you by, so that we can call you by whatever you want us to call you by.
okay, it's 6:10 on my clock. So welcome to Techtonica Info session. This will be the agenda for today. It's very short. We will try to have an introduction and overview of the program for the staff. And then we will have one of our graduates speaking about um, her experience and how was her application process, how she's doing now the internship, and how is the internship process. And at the end, we will open the room for Q&A, and you will feel free to ask questions to us, to our graduate. We want to be super transparent with all of you about this program. And this is the moment that you have 2 of the stack of Techtonica in the screen. So feel free to take advantage of that opportunity. With that, let me give you a little introduction. My name is Cristina Rodriguez. My pronouns are she, her, ella. I'm the technical project manager of Techtonica. And if you are here, you probably have my email. But in case that you need to ask me any question about the application process or any question in general about Techtonica, here is my email. Feel free to use it to, I promise that I will answer, if not immediately, because during the application process, my email keeps a little chaos. At some point, I will answer and try to help you with questions about Techtonica. We have here Sarah. Sarah is our software training engineer manager. And I will let her introduce herself.
Hey everybody, my name is Sarah. My pronouns are she, her, and I will be your day-to-day sort of manager on the program. So you'll see me every day. We'll talk about what you're doing. You'll have your one-on-ones with me and mock interviews with me, and we'll go over all of that in a little bit. See you, Christina.
Just in case that you need to know, our CEO is Michelle Glauser. She is our founder and CEO, and he's her Twitter handle, I think. She's also in the Slack and Techtonica Slack channel. Feel free to reach out to her if you need her or a specific feedback about Techtonica or information. We are very proud to work for her. With that, as a reminder, Techtonica helps women and non-binary adults overcome barriers into the tech industry. And let me tell you a little about the full-time program. So our program will be actually for a year. You will have 6 months of full-time training, uh, learning full-time. We will ask you like 10 hours a day of being in front of your computer learning new topics. We offer limited stipends and laptops for people that need a laptop. Um, be aware that the stipend is not a full salary. It will let you pay things like your rent or childcare because we know that we are asking you a lot of commitment and time, but we are asking our participants too that try to have a network or a supporting network because we are a nonprofit, so we don't have actually the resources for fully pay you a full-time or even an entry-level salary for learning. But the stipends will help, and we will talk a little more about those financial conversations later. And after the 6 months of learning, you will have 6 months of job placement with one of our partners company. We work very, very hard to make sure that we have placement for each one of our participants in the core. In the last three ones, right, Sarah? Three that we have here, we have found placement for each one of our participants on our core, and we really want to keep trying. But in case that we cannot find a placement for you, you will have full support of our community to job search. And that means move all our resources to help you to find that paid internship. Uh,
So I'm going to butt in for just a second. Yeah,
uh-huh.
it is 3, including this one. We will have found placements for everybody. And that's a huge caveat that we try to find placements with our sponsor caveat, with our sponsor companies, but we cannot guarantee it. So do not come into this program thinking there's a guarantee that there will be a job for you in it.
Yes. But again, we work really, really hard for doing that. What is our target audience? Well, we want to help people of underrepresented groups to enter the tech industry. And we have found that people from underrepresented groups are basically Black, Latinx, and Indigenous women and non-binary adults. We don't have the age cutoff because we don't think that there is an age limit to learn how to code. Um, Saying that, we are trying to help our participants to find that first job. So we need the limit of it could not be more than 18 years and basically we want to help the people that is most displacement and underrepresented and that needs to enter the tech industry. It's really our target audience. Saying that, you probably will ask us at some point, how are you different of so many of the programs that is already there in the internet? And there is a lot of programs that offer training in tech. Well, we don't think that asking you for a cut from your first salary is, we don't want to create another barrier for you. We know that we work with people that is unrepresented and that traditional have to face a lot of barriers for enter the tech industry, and we don't want to create another one. So we don't ask or participate, we don't put the weight of that money on our participants. We put the weight of that money on our partner companies. So that's the reason we call this a scholarship, because it's the company that is actually scholarship your participation in this program. And they can do it because they have the money and they will need you. We really think that diversity is value for companies, and we know that they need the diversity higher. Um, so that's the reason we don't ask for a cut of participant salaries, and it's the biggest difference that we have with other programs that you will find in the internet. What is the impact that we want to make on our community? Well, we want that the tech companies invest in local junior diversity talent. Um, we know that we can help to make the tech industry diverse, and at the same uh, time and at the same moment help with the income disparity for underrepresented communities. So that's basically our mission right there. What are we looking for on our participants? So we know that we are dealing with underrepresented groups and people that is already having a lot of barriers to enter even the workforce. But we know that those people are also the most resilient people and the most resilient individuals. So we are asking for that. We need that you we need that you have the resilience to say, I want to change my life. I want to be in the tech industry because I need a more better future. And it's totally okay if that better future is because the salary like is valid. We know that is true. So it doesn't need to be philosophical a high level. It could be a thing as simple as I need to double my income. But you need to have that resilience, and at the same time you need to have that autonomy, because also we are not a traditional program, so we don't have teacher, we don't have lecture, we will not have a professor or even a teacher assistant trying to guide you through a lecture. So you will need to have that autonomy or learn by yourself. We will guide you, we will give you resources, we will try to help you, but at the end, the hard work, you need to do it by yourself. And that gave us the third characteristic, which is coachability, because we will guide you. We will say day by day, what things do you need to learn? And we want to keep you on track. Like the resources for learning how to code and how to program are free in the internet. You could have everything for free in the internet, but we will give you the guide, the coachability. We are the person that will tell you today you will learn this and this and this, and you need to believe us at the very least. And that gave us the next characteristic, which is positivity and adaptability, because basically everything in the tech industry changed so fast, and even um, 4 months ago, Heroku said that they will stop doing giving free plans for people, and that forced us to change everything for this core. And we didn't know that, and it was something that happened 4 months ago, and will change completely our curriculum. And we need to learn how to deal with that and to be okay with that. That you will learn constantly, and things will change super fast, and you will learn. Framework today, and that framework tomorrow will be deprecated, and you will need to find the next one, and it's totally okay. We all are in this industry that value adaptability over pretty much everything. And at the same time, we are completely believers on the force of pair programming. It's one of our main course. You will do pair programming each day of the course. So we are seeking for people that is really good on collaboration. We don't believe on the myth of the programmer that is alone in a basement with a hoodie and don't talk with anybody. We don't believe on that. We believe in pair programming. We believe in share and help as a group. And we are seeking for those people. We also need that have some curiosity, um, because sometimes the things will change faster than we could teach you or we could guide you. And you have to have that curiosity to be better than us and try to learn faster and try to find the new resource and do your own search and try to find what is the problem with this code by your own. And that is fundamental, a curiosity thing. And at the same time, we are seeking people that are good on logic, We will teach, I want to be very upfront with you. We will teach you a lot of logic on programming, and we will teach you, but you have to have those grains there. You usually it's people that like to do puzzles, that like to follow instructions. It's the people that know that everything is a process and that everything has a logic behind the scenes. And we are trying to find those. And we really think that these people is basically the diverse people, is the underrepresented people, is the are the characteristics that we are looking for, and is basic our target audience. Now, let me talk very fast about the application process. You are in the middle of the application process. So we usually have two application processes, one from April to May, or from September to October. You are doing that one. Our only pre-required thing is the JavaScript 113 exercise of JavaScript and FreeCode Camp. And those are necessary for the loan application. So the short interest application is very short. I think all of you should already did that, um, hopefully. In the loan application, you need to put your a screenshot for the 113 exercise and a couple more of answers. It's very long. It will take you probably 4 hours, and that's the reason we even tell you find write all your answers in a Google Doc document, and then you do the form, because Google Form is really not a good tool for doing those long applications. And the application process will close on October 10. So what will happen on October 10 is that I will review all the long applications, and the people that send all the documents and answer all the questions, I will send two invitations to two mandatory application workshops. You have to come to two of those, and we will give 2 different time zones for each one of them. So at the end, you will see 4 options. But again, you only need to come to two of them. We are trying to do one in the night, one in the evenings for people that is in the West Coast, East Coast. We're uh, completely nationwide today and now, and we want to help with the our times and things. If you pass the mandatory application workshops, you will be invited to do a pair programming session with me. That's the pairing with the staff. And then you will have 2 days to do a take a home code challenge. And after that, if you pass that, you will have uh, behavioral interviews with the staff and a board member. Those will not be technical, be completely behavioral, regular interviews. And at that moment, you will know if you are accepted or not, because the financial aid conversation is not part, it doesn't make any difference to your acceptance in the program. But after that, you need to have a financial aid conversation with me, because we need to see if you need a stipend, how much is your stipend, what are your expenses, things like that. So that's the reason we include the financial conversations check there. But please be aware that that is not part of the application process. With that, what happened after acceptance? So the first thing is the financial conversation. Then we will send you to the agreement with stipend, and you can say yes or no to that. We will try to set as soon as possible the MacBook, because you will need to have your MacBook for the onboarding day. For this process, onboarding day is in December 12th. So in December 12th onboarding day, the thing that will happen is that you get to know your cohort, get to know your mentor. We will take a lot of screenshots and group photos, and then you start practice your personal pitch. Another thing that will happen with this program is that we will teach you and practice with you how to do technical interviews since day one, since onboarding day. So the first thing that you need to do is your personal pre-package, and you keep practicing that for the whole long of the course. And then from December 12th to the first day of this course is January 16th, you will have to do a lot of pre-work. Expect 10 hours of work on pre-work a week, because you need to make sure that you know how to work with arrays, how to work with objects, make very sure. And you will have support of your mentor. We will have study groups specifically for the core. So you will not doing that alone, but it's a lot of pre-work. So again, dates to remember. We will have study groups from here to the last day of the application process, which is October 10th, each Tuesday. So tomorrow we will have another one. The deadline for the application is October 10 at noon. I will close that form. The workshops could be the first one is October 25 from 6 to 9 p.m. Pacific time, or October 27 from 3 to 6 p.m. Pacific time. The second round will be November 1st or November 3rd. It really depends if you could be on 6 and 9 p.m. or from 3 to 6 p.m. Then you will be invited to pair programming staff that will happen at different times from November 7 to November 11. And the code challenge, it will be 2 days after your pair programming session with me. So it will divide everybody in groups according with when did you do your pair programming. And after that, you will have the board staff interviews. We juggle a lot with the calendar during those dates, but basically everything will need to happen between November 11 and November 18, because acceptance emails will go November 18. Because onboarding day also is December 7. I thought it was December 12, it's December 7. And pre-work will be from December 7 to January 17. So please remember those days are important for this. This is an example of how you can do the screenshot for the 120 lessons of basic JavaScript on FreeCodeCamp. That is our only pre-required thing. We did this like 3 months ago, something like that. And if you do that, like in just one day, I will sit in the computer and I will not get out until I finish. You will need 8 hours, but nobody has 8 hours, like on straightforward 8 hours to work on that way. So we know that it could take from 4 hours to 6 hours in a week to complete this exercise. So prepare for that, because you will need to this screenshot for the long application form. And don't worry, we have a study groups for working on this each Tuesday from September and October. So we will try to help you with JavaScript and the basics. And I review their syntax and basic. We don't need that you will be an expert on JavaScript. It's very basic level. You don't need even to see recursion and things like that. I just need that you know how to work with array and functions, basically. And now I pass the session to Sarah.
Hi, so I'm going to go over some of the details of the program itself. So basically, this program meets from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time, Monday through Friday. And there might be some additional meetings after or before those hours, but those are ones that you schedule, both with me and with your mentors, which we'll go into in a little bit. We are a full stack JavaScript program. We learn React, Node, Postgres, and Express. We do this by having events, we have mentors, and we have volunteers. And that is how we update our curriculum. That's how we get everything put together. No, this is the PERN stack, P-E-R-N, for somebody in the chat. So like Christina said, we do not have standard lectures. This is a hands-on project-based program with a lot of collaborative learning. So basically every day we give you a list of stuff to learn and a goal of how deep to learn that topic for the day. And then you work with your group assigned for the week, you research on your own, you work with your mentor, you work with volunteers to fill in all of that knowledge that you need. And we do lots of projects to help you get there. To check that you are learning everything, we have knowledge checks every week, both a written and a verbal, to sort of see where you have gaps, see where we need to make sure that everybody is getting along. I know that that scares people a lot that may have test anxiety. Try to not think of anything in this program as a test. We do not try to get anybody. We give you all of the questions and the answers in advance. It's more of a matter of, did you learn the thing that we asked you to learn? Here's the exact solution that we are looking for. So final projects. So this program is 6 months long of the learning portion, and a full month of that towards the end is dedicated towards you creating your own final project. And that is a chance to showcase all of the things that you've learned, use your creativity. You get to choose whatever you want your final project to be. And it's really fun and exciting. We do a whole lot of interview practice. I know that those of you who have maybe tried to get into the industry by yourselves have found that the technical interviews are daunting. We know that. We know that technical interviews are different than normal job interviews, and maybe you're not that great at regular job interviews either. We do a lot of practice on both of those things to make sure that you're prepared both for our sponsor company interviews, but also for every interview that you might have for the rest of your life. Part of that is that we work a lot on soft skills, on how to be a good employee, how to interview, how to communicate, all of that stuff. And that is another thing that really sets us apart from other programs, and it can surprise people. So many people find that the soft skills aspect is just as difficult as the technical aspect. Learning how to communicate, learning how to give feedback, learning kind of some deep truths about yourself and talking about them can be really hard for a lot of people, as well as taking the feedback of, why don't you try doing it this way instead? So please be aware that that's a really integral and important part of our program, is giving and receiving feedback and having that growth and change mindset. After the 6 months of the learning part of the program, hopefully everybody gets placed with one of our sponsor companies. At that point, we have check-ins once a week for the 6 months of that placement to check in and see how you're doing. We also give you a little assignments, like everybody needs to ask their manager something they've been scared to ask, or we're going to create some brag documents, or we're going to make lists and you're going to reach out to somebody you don't know. So every week there is an additional thing. So this program is 6 months of learning, but it's really a year-long commitment and program. Next slide, please. Okay, so the program is broken up into a few major sections. The first couple of months is learning new technologies, and this is a fire hose of information coming at your face. To be successful in the first couple of months of the program, it's really important to learn when to stop. And that's one of the hardest things for people to hear. Everything that we cover, we will cover it for 3 hours, but that topic is somebody's entire career. So you could spend years and years and years learning that thing. But we want you to know just a little tiny bit. I like to think of this first part of the program is basically if I was teaching you the shapes of animals. This is like a little kid and you're looking across the street and you're saying, that is a cat. That is a dog. And you don't know anything more about a cat or a dog except for that for the first week. Then we go around again. And then we learn that the cat says meow and the dog says bark. But if I tell you to stop, once I say that the cat says meow, I need you to actually stop so you can see the bigger picture for everything. And that's really, really hard for a lot of people. So after we learn that really high level overview of what everything is and how the internet works and how all these pieces connect, then we spend a month and a half practicing and getting better at it. And that's when you could be able to say, oh, I see these are the 57 bones in a cat's leg, and this is how many a dog has. And you get a little bit more information on it, and you're actually building it yourself. And that's also super hard, but it's hard in a different way. After that, we have a month for your final project. And this is the thing that you are building from your own imagination. We have a few guidelines, but it's really broad and up to you. And then we have interviews with our sponsor companies. You would get placed with one of our sponsor companies, and then 1 month of learning the technology that you would need for that position. If you do not get a role with one of our sponsor companies, then at that point, we would transition into working to find you a job. And as Christina said, we try really hard to get everybody a placement, and we have been fully successful with that ever since the pandemic started. So I don't fear that we'll be able to find a placement for everybody, but it is not guaranteed. Next slide, please. Okay, the general program hours. From 8 to 8:30 every day, we have a stand-up. Then we spend a half hour working on a code challenge, either in a group or alone. You'll be told which day to do which. Then we come back together as the whole group and talk about everybody's solutions and where people got stuck and some different ways to think about the code challenge. Then you have a few hours to work on your own. And this is when you would be learning the curriculum. You might be working with your pairs for the week. You might be doing it on your own. You might be reaching out to your mentors, filling in all of that knowledge that you need. And then we have an hour or two for pair programming in the afternoon, followed by a wrap up where we kind of rehash all the information and make sure everybody's on the same page for the day. Next slide, please. Okay, along with that, I know a lot of you are applying and you have maybe special circumstances or you're not quite sure if this is right for you. One thing that's really awesome about this program is we are a small group of people and we care about you. And we have seen a lot of things before. So please remember that we want to help you. If you have a special situation come up either now or during the program, please communicate with us. You can all, if you're not on the Slack, please get on the Slack, reach out to Christina and she can invite you. Tell us what's going on and we can sympathize and brainstorm some solutions with you. We have helped people experiencing houselessness. We've helped people get childcare. We've helped people get out of unsafe environments. We've helped people who have had medical emergencies come up, transition to the next cohort. We do understand that life happens and life is very complex, and we really do try to work on you with you. If you don't let us know, we can't help you. So if you're looking at the guidelines and you're a little like, oh, do I qualify, or oh, I have this special situation, please let us know. Christina, can you stick your email in there so they can reach out to you, get on the Slack?
Yes, in a
Yeah,
minute when I stop sharing my screen,
okay, yep, she's
I
sharing right
will.
now. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So please let us know. Pretty much is the moral of the story. When in doubt, reach out and we can give you the definitive answer. It's always sad when somebody doesn't finish the application process or withdraws, and it's something that we could have totally helped you with. Okay, next slide, please. Look at this beautiful list of companies that have helped us out. These are companies that have both sponsored our applicants as well as companies that have just given us some money or given us volunteers. So these people have made this happen. And on the right, you have some pictures of some of our volunteers. So it's really awesome to have all these people help. Next slide, please. Okay, super big thing to consider. Please don't feel discouraged if you don't get in the first time. The way our application process is set up, you will know what things you need to work on. The first part of the application process, those not the written application part, but the application workshops, those 2 evenings. What we're looking for there is, do you collaborate? Do you communicate? Do you talk well with each other? Do you listen to each other? Do you ask questions? If you don't make it past that part, then you know, okay, I need to work on my collaboration. We give you some ideas of how to work on that, how to work on pair programming. A great way to work on that is to come to the study groups on Tuesday. Also, if you're in the pre-applicants channel, to make your own study group. Learning how to talk while you're coding is really hard, but it's a really important part of the program. The next part after that is when we actually start testing your JavaScript ability. So if you don't make it past that part, you would then know, okay, your JavaScript isn't quite good enough yet. I have to keep on working to get it there. The next part after that would be your behavioral interview stuff. And we also take other things into consideration, like how many people are we able to actually take on this time? So yeah, you would know at which part you need to continue working. And Ashley, I'm looking at your questions. If we apply and don't get accepted, can we reapply for the second round of applications? I'm not sure what you mean for the second round. Basically, if you don't get accepted, you'd have to wait the 6 months and apply again next time. But what I'm trying to say is you would know at how far you got and why you didn't get in, so that can help you apply. Yeah, so the next application process is April of next year. Along with that, no, so this round goes from October until November. Our application process is a few months long. The JavaScript, I'm gonna go through the presentation and then we can ask these questions. We have like a whole hour for Q&A at the end. So please hold your questions and we'll go over them more. Keep learning and apply again. Sometimes it takes like 3 times to get in, and it's a super competitive program. Only 8% of people get in. So keep on working. Stay in the Slack channel, keep on working, and then apply again. Next slide, please. Okay, big deadline date. The applications are open till October 10th at noon. Please read through the website and spread the word, get your friends to apply, and move on forward. Next slide, please. Okay, next I'm gonna invite Adora, who is a graduate from our last cohort, to talk about her experience, and we'll leave a little bit of time for a QA with her after she chats about how it was.
Thank you, and hello everyone. So my name is Adora. My pronouns are she and her. And I guess I'll just run it down from the beginning. So starting with the application process, I was admittedly pretty nervous about it. I had like a little bit of HTML background, baby weight, CSS. And so when it came down to learning JavaScript, I was like, oh, it's the logic side of coding. Wow, okay. And so it was a bit of a task for me, especially because I winded up finally being able to actually apply in like a short window. So I had to knock out the 113 challenges in like 2 days because I was just like, it's now or never. And so I wanted to just commit to the opportunity that arose and made sure to follow through. So once I was able to get through the long application, like the challenges and then the long application, and was able to start attending the study sessions, I found those extremely valuable. If you're able to go, even for the extra ones, because there are some that are mandatory and others that are extra, I'd say go to all of them because to also see other people working at the same pace as you, it's just very comforting, and to just be able to like talk about the code at that level with other people who are experiencing it the same way. A1, I 10 out of 10 recommend. And so made it through the process, got into the program, and I was really excited and also extremely nervous because everything is just, now it's official, it's gonna go, and it's gonna go fast. And so first things first is Gather is one out of like 100% your best friend. I was really happy to be able to study with other people in Gather when like getting stuck on different solutions, even though it was initially really hard. I'm kind of shy. And when it comes to coding, it winds up feeling very personal. So having someone else look at your code is kind of like, this is my baby, be gentle with me. But it's also super valuable to get the other perspectives and to just get more insight on how to approach a problem if I was stuck and just other ways to get out of it. I really like that part. I'd say another vital thing during the program is to learn how you learn, kind of as soon as you can. So once I realized that I was a visual learner, and although listening to videos or like reading something was nice, having it paired together was kind of like my sweet spot. So, and I'm kind of old school, y'all. I be taking notes like with my hand and paper, like in these technological times. Yes, that's me. So I was like, okay, that's just how I have to work. So when it comes to initially being introduced to new concepts, I felt like I worked a little slower than others, which also brings me to my next point, which is do not compare. Comparison is the thief of joy. Compare yourself only to how you were doing last week versus the present week, what you know now that you didn't know before, and use that as your building block. You may see other people that you feel like they literally just like read the assignment and like they're soaring, whereas like you feel like you might be having to take it, sentence by sentence or word by word, love. But that's okay, because you are all you need to be focusing on. So don't compare. It can get a little dicey if you start comparing. So easier said than done, but the sooner you just focus in on you and worry more about how you learn and take in information, the better. And yes, the learning does not stop with this program. This program, although it will set you up to be able to effectively handle, in a lot of ways, your first role being your internship, it's not the end all be all. You will learn the Pern stack in this program. I'm in my internship now at Sony as an observability engineer. It's not the Pern stack. And so I had to learn completely different things than what I was learning in this program. But it winded up coming in some ways a bit easier because I already knew how I took in information and how things stuck, and how much information I needed to be able to effectively complete a task. So when Sarah or Christina tells you during the program, like, hey, all you need to know is this, and that should be it, is basically how I took it. It was teaching me how much I could do with the breadth of information and not the depth. And so that's honestly in itself another skill that I don't know, it's giving very much priceless. So I would just hold on to that one as well. So although it was hard for some stuff to stop at certain points, just because I felt like my understanding for me personally wasn't where I wanted it to be, I was still able to complete pretty much everything accordingly, and it didn't look too janky. So yay me. And for the internship portion itself, like I said, I'm an observability engineer, and that's a completely different aspect than what we're learning, because in this program you do full stack. So you're a developer, like a programmer at the core, and I'm doing monitoring now. So I was like, oh, it's gonna be a little that should be a little interesting, but and then the pacing might be different too, because the program it's very fast paced. So you get used to taking in a lot of information, producing something with the breadth and not the depth, and being pretty familiar, relatively familiar with what you're doing in the moment, to now you get to like the role, and it's most likely not going to be as fast paced. It'll still be fast, but it'll just be a different kind of thing. So everything that you got to cram basically during the program will definitely translate to the internship itself. And I think, yes, another thing that I really appreciated from the program was the interview prep and soft skills. So the interview prep, I was so nervous about interviews. So nervous about interviews. And I'm not actually, I should probably stop saying it, but I was not the greatest at talking about myself. I'm very private. So Sarah would ask questions that you're supposed to give like personal tidbits, but I was so used to just like talking around like my finer points. And the interview prep was just, oh, it was so priceless. And yeah, I really, really appreciated that, as well as the soft skills, because it brought into focus, basically, in my previous work experience, I thought maybe I wasn't always the best communicator just because of how I would, like, the type of feedback I would get. But the program pretty much showed me that it wasn't really me, you know. My communication skills are sound, but sometimes it's just more about if the person's even open to receiving it, or maybe the mood that they were in that day, and basically ways to maneuver the situation so that everyone can still win. So the soft skills, priceless, interview prep, give it all. And yes, self-learning is a must here. So stay curious throughout your entire journey, because that curiosity will carry you, it'll carry you quite a ways. And I'm really grateful for this entire experience thus far, and it's still going. So yes, that's my everything.
Thank you so much, Adora. We love you basically, and we are so proud of you. So here I will open the room for questions. If you have a question, feel free to raise your hand. Exactly. I'm seeing a couple of questions in the chat that I want to acknowledge before we move to the. Somebody is confused about the financial aid. Again, so the high level explanation, we know that people from underrepresented group face at least three big barriers to enter the tech industry. The first one is they don't have the ability of pause their life to spend 6 months learning, right? You have child, you have dependents, you have a house, you have a life. And that reason we decide to implement the stipends for our participants is not a full salary again, but it will help you if you need childcare, if you need to pay the rent, if you need to pay your credit cards, your scholarship loans, things like that. It will help you with that. But it's not part of the application process because it doesn't determine if you are accepted or not to the program. It's just that at the moment that you are having a financial conversation, you basically know that you are accepted. But sometimes the stipend is not enough for you. Like you need more help, and we can help you. And you have the ability to say, no, I cannot take this opportunity at this moment, but I will come back in 6 months. I will try to save money for myself, and we will have that conversation. Like it's part of the process. The thing that I don't want is that you think that the financial aid modify your acceptance of or not in the program. It doesn't change your acceptance.
So
Hopefully that.
basically how it works is you have the financial aid conversation. We take into account all of the people that need support in the program. We see what our budget is, and remember, we're a small nonprofit, so unfortunately, we can't give people more than a couple $1,000s a month. And we see how we can spread the money out to help all of the people. So in your acceptance letter, part of that acceptance is, congratulations, you're part of the program. We're able to offer you $1,000 a month in stipend. And then you have a chance to think and say, is that enough for me to be part of this program? You respond back, we have a little back and forth, and then that's how it works. So again, as a reiteration, it is a stopgap. It's not enough to like fully go off and party. It's not a full tech thing. I will say on the other side of this that the placements that we have with companies, that is a $30 an hour minimum position. So kind of like super bare bones when you're in the program. When you get your placement, you're up at like 30-ish an hour. And then after that, when you graduate, you get an actual job. Most of our graduates, when they get hired on their first role, their first position after the internship is between $90,000 and $150,000 a year. So you can also look and see what's the junior developer make in your area, and that would give you a pretty clear idea of what you might expect from an actual placement. So definitely, like, the stipends are austere. It is a stepping stone because we know you can't fully quit your jobs for 6 months. Does that answer who's ever questioned? Oh, sorry, Christina.
Yes, I was talking about the barriers. So the second barrier is people that don't have the actually laptop, right, for coding. And that's the reason we offer laptops for. And the third barrier is finding that first job, because again, you probably can learn by yourself. If you have the discipline to learn every single day, you can learn by yourself. It's doable. But finding that first job is super hard. And that's the reason we work very, very hard to help you to find that first job and find that internship that at least will put you in the door of the tech industry. A lot of that, of what happened after that, it will depend of you, but we will try to help you too. Like, you will not lose the support of Techtonica. Hopefully that explain our motivations for the giving a stipend, laptops, and job placement. And with that, I want to open the door. So I'm seeing Irene, Patsy, Viviana, Christina, Hans. We will go in that order, and then I will answer more questions in the chat, and we'll go again. Is that okay? Irene or Irene? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, Dora. I wanted to ask you a question. You said that you had felt that you were learning slower than others during the program. I wanted to know, what would you say was the best technique for you to either learn, retain, or keep up with the new skills that they were throwing at you daily?
That's a great question. I'd say first, stopping the negative self-talk, and then just doing more code challenges. So when you do free time, that's like a foreign concept during the program, but if you have time, I would definitely work in more code challenges and with the things in particular that you feel like you're struggling with, because doing those with like a couple of my friends was really, really helpful in helping the things stick more, me understand it better, and then being able to better implement that type of logic into the projects. So code challenges and videos, because I do like to see visuals. Yeah, we found a couple of pretty nice channels that had really good examples. So YouTube and code challenges.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Patsy, you're next. You're on mute.
Thank you. Yeah, my question is it possible, I don't know, like, I know we're required to be, 8 to 5 or whatever, doing the challenges. Do we have homework per se afterwards that we need to invest time in? Or could we have like a part-time job?
I'll answer that. So this program is extremely intense. A couple of people in the past have tried to have jobs and it never ever works. Just being in the program is, I mean, you're learning so much, your brain feels like it's going to be mush. So I do not try to work at the same time, which is part of the reason that we offer the stipends. There isn't homework per se, but a lot of people like to work outside the hours to help get more knowledge, help get more practice in. Also, we fully understand that you might need to take a 2-hour nap in the middle of the day, which means you're probably going to need to work a little bit later in the evening to deal with that. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm going to answer a question in the chat. So I was starting to type it out. I think it'd be easier to type it, which is, People with disabilities such as dyslexia, autism, stuff like that. We have had many, many participants that are neurodiverse, and we really try to work with you to learn how to learn in a way that works for you. One thing that's different about our program is that we are trying to set you up for success once you're in your job. And so what that means is, what are the tools that you're going to need to be able successful in your job once you're working? So how are you going to continue to learn when you're on your own? So sort of like Adora was saying, part of that is really discovering what your learning style is so that you can take that with you. There are also some tools that people have, like we can enable transcription on Zoom, and there is a special font you can download for your code editor that is really good for dyslexia. Things like that we help you find. That being said, the pace of the program is extremely intense. So if it takes you longer to process and learn, this program might not be the best choice. If it's more like, I have trouble reading technical documentation, but I can learn really well with videos, then that's definitely something that we can work with. So I hope that answers anybody's question. You're welcome to ask more on that.
Yeah, and about that question too, sorry, Vivian, is that we have participants with all kind of disabilities. I have phonological dyslexia. Like we work with people
I
like
do too.
that
So
all the time, but you need to talk with us. Like I talk to my team and say, hey, I don't understand sounds. Like for me, everything sounds the same. So if I'm pronouncing something that is wrong, you need to tell me because I will not hear because I have phonological dyslexia. And be very upfront of these things. And we will teach you a lot of how to advocate for yourself and how to express your need and everything. But at the same time, at this moment, for example, I'm very aware that I could not learn music in 6 months because I have phonological dyslexia. I can't, right? So you need to be self-aware of how you can learn, and we can help you, but at some point maybe you could say no, this is not the right fit for me. Viviana, you're next.
Okay. My question was for Adora. Can you say your name again? Adora. I'm trying to say it right. Yeah, okay. Could you talk more about like how you got yourself to like stop at like the breadth and not go into the depths? Because I'm definitely the kind of person where like I'm gonna ask a lot of questions, and so it's like, how do you find that balance between like asking questions but also like maybe letting some things go too?
That was an ongoing struggle because I wanted to know more. Like I felt like if I just understand it really, really well, then I'll feel better about the next steps. But the feel better aspect didn't quite hit because everything moves a little too fast, you know, like you don't really have time to get comfortable with like a new concept the same way you would understanding how the language works itself. I hope that doesn't sound too, I don't know, like airy, but that was just that's like the best way I can describe it. So like what you need to know well is when you get into it, like what a function is. People use functions and methods interchangeably depending on the language, what a loop does, what arrays do, what objects do, not so much like how you can perfect that one way to do it in JavaScript, because in JavaScript in particular, you know, compared to other languages, she may be the Wild Wild West. She might. So you don't, it's like once you get that detachment, I guess the understanding, like what you need to know is the concepts and not so much be too fixed on how to do it in JavaScript. I think it gets a little easier, or at least that's how it was for me. It was like, okay, making sure I understand what things are doing and why at the base level, but then how that could also translate into a different language. It may have helped me a bit too, because at the same time, my cousin was going through the Ada Developers Academy program. So she was telling me about her time with Python, and she was like, oh yeah, we use list a lot. And I was like, list? What is a list? And then she was like describing, and I was like, oh, an right? Okay, cool. So like, being able to see how like, okay, they'll just use different terminology, but this is the same kind of thing at the base is kind of enough. And that is more or less kind of like the breadth of it, right? So thinking about how it translates across the board, and just if it's not bringing you like peace in the moment, maybe it's a good time to stop, because like your mental peace and like just wellness and all is super important. It's priceless. So if you need a moment to like pause, you can talk to some other people about it and just see like where they are with it. Maybe just hearing their explanations can be sufficient enough, you know. But if it starts to really like get under your skin, like heart palpitations, you're sweating a little bit, you're getting tight, probably a good time to stop. Just stop, leave it there, see what you can do with what you know. And if you're able to accomplish your task, then you know enough.
I'm going to jump in there too. And every day you're given a document of these are the goals for the day. And at the bottom of it, there's like, these are the end of day questions. At the end of the day, you should be able to answer this. And that is how far you should go. If you can answer that question, and it's a very high level question, like, what is this thing? And if you can answer that in 2 sentences, then stop and move on to the next thing. And that's where it's really hard. Is people like learn all around it, but they don't know what the basics of it is. So yeah, stop when you're told to stop, when you have an idea of what the thing is. Christina.
Yeah, I think my questions were answered as far as what exactly should we focus on with learning? What do we really need to know and really make sure that we own in on? But also as far as being accepted, like when it comes to income, what if you are married and you have a spouse who has an income, but if something happens to that person, doing the Techtonica courses are not gonna, it's like without an income, it's like, no.
Yeah, that is a great question, because who knows what's going to happen in life in the next 6 months, right? We readjust stipends throughout the program if things come up. If you have to move, if you lose a partner, if you have a child, like if something comes up that changes your overall situation, then we can work with you to try to figure that out. And for those of you that have applied, pretty much everything, if you qualify for the program, it's based off of the MIT Living Wage Calculator. So you put in where you live, what the household income is, and how many dependents you have and everything like that. That being said, we fully understand that some people are in unsafe relationships. And one of the reasons they're trying to do this program is to become self-sufficient and leave that partner. So if you are in a situation like that, and this is trying to be your stepping stone to get that independence, and with that person's income, you don't qualify, but you're trying to move past that, please, please, please let us know. That is one of those special circumstances that we really try to work with you on. And we can be totally under the radar with it. We won't broadcast it to anybody, but that is a situation that we need to know in order to help you out. That's a great question. Tanya.
Hi, my question is for Adora. Thank you for joining us. It's really good to hear like someone talk, you know, that went through the whole thing. So I guess I had like a 2-part question. So I know like, you know, the course is rigorous and all that. What were your like best self-care tips, or like how did you kind of keep yourself motivated throughout those days where you're like, oh man, my brain is not working, like what do I do? And I guess the second part is I don't know what your background was before doing Techtonica, but once you got your new position, I don't know if you maybe had like you know, kind of some time to adjust to the new position, especially as, you know, someone who just went into the field. How was that process, and what did you find like kind of helped you guide like along that?
Okay, for the self-help, I'm the kind of person that believes in like talking to yourself in the mirror and like telling yourself good things to help you reset. I was also, well, still am super into just like meditation and or tapping. So I need like literal releases sometimes. Your mind is going to be mush. Like my mind was mush. I was so tired. So I'm talking to myself at the end of the day to reset, especially at the end of the week or like at the start of the week. If I felt like the previous week was particularly challenging, I would just kind of like write out my own mantra to tell myself in the mirror and take like the 3 deep breaths that we started to practice a lot in the cohort itself. Go outside, get some fresh air, get boba, get a good meal, do things that bring you joy and savor them, like do them intentionally. So sometimes like at the end of the day, my friend was like, hey, you feel like some tea? I'm like, first of all, you're talking to my heart. And yes, I will take this tea as the marker at the end of the day. And so it was just really nice to put intent in things too. So you can kind of feel like the release is in something. And as far as my transition, so funny enough, when I started with my team, they're actually launching a new project. And like the day I started was literal launch day. So it was mayhem on their side and it was crickets on mine. So I was just like, well, my orientation stuff is done. No reply. And I was just like, okay, all right, cool. So I can just, I guess, touch the laptop, the keyboard, and look around a bit, try to like find stuff out. And so I was able to meet with them and they were like telling me that. I was like, okay, cool. And trying to just see what I could do in the meantime to help them help me kind of deal. So what would I be doing like moving forward? Like we now do have a little more free time, this, and that. And I was basically able to use that time to jumpstart like the learning or to continue the jumpstart of the learning because I asked them for study materials beforehand because I like to be prepared. So I was like, okay, I'll just go back over that kind of stuff because, sometimes you're learning something, but before you get to really apply it to like the actual system, it's a little arbitrary, So I was like, okay, let's see, since I'm like a little closer now, let me go back over these things. I'll just throw out some questions, they'll answer when they can. And I leaned into learning Java because for this role, they told me I needed Java initially, which our APIs on this side of the project right now are written in Java. I have to use it. So now I'm learning Golang. And so I was like, okay, cool. But it was also nice to just have like another language added to the roster. So yes, if there is time, idle time in between, and it's not as scheduled out for you when you first begin, use that time to self-study, go over stuff, get familiar with the systems, because I was definitely clicking around all over my computer and whatever site I had access to, they was probably like, what's this girl clicking on? And I'm like, life. So just get as familiar as you can, value the times that it's a bit slower because things will definitely pick up at some point, and don't be afraid to self-study. You are going to be like the intern, so learn as much as you can, and that's whenever you can. So yes. I hope that answers.
Thank you and congrats.
Thank you.
Carla, you have a question? And then Patsy, you have another one after that.
Darla, we saw you for a second. Do you have a question? Oh, there we go.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Okay, I heard Pat's. I didn't hear my name. Yes. Hi. You're right about one thing. Self-taught is harder to get a job. Self-taught in coding. But as I was going through Women's Who Code study groups, I met a couple of them from Techtonica, and like a couple of them kept telling me to apply for there. If so happens, if I get into the program, are you able to reach out? Because one of the, I think it's a mixed panel. I know a couple of girls are there working mixed panel. They were always encouraging me. Are you able to reach out to their company if they're able to, since they hired people from Techtonica?
Yeah, so great question. Part of the agreement, let me explain a little bit about how we're funded. So basically what happens is our sponsor companies pay us like a donation, and then in exchange, we let them interview all of you and
Oh,
pick a participant that works. So part of the agreement you sign is that if you take your technical skills that you learned here and you do not go to 6 months with our partner company, then you either have to get that company to pay us that fee, or you have to pay us a fee. And I think it's like $30,000 or something like that. It's on the website. So basically, you're making a year-long commitment to be in this program. 6 months of that is with our sponsor or partner company. And if you choose to be in the program for 6 months and get all the information, you're like, I don't like any of these sponsor companies, which has never happened before because we've got really awesome sponsor companies, but it's my dream to work at company X, then you would either have to get them to sponsor you, or you would have to pay us back pretty much.
oh, but this is one of your sponsoring. It was mixed panel. That's what I see the girls there.
So if it's one of our sponsor companies, the way the interviews work is you will interview with our sponsor companies and you'll give us feedback on the companies that you liked, and they'll give us companies about the participants that they like. And then we'll take all that data and we'll match people. So if there's one company that you're like, let's say Sony does again, you're like, I love Sony, I want to be on this particular team with Sony. If they agree that they love you and they'd love to have you and it works out, then yes. But ultimately, you go where we are able to match you.
Okay. All right. Answer this question. Okay.
Yeah. And that being said, we don't know what the sponsor companies are for the next cohort yet. So.
Oh, so mixed panel might even be on it either.
No, no, like that might be a one from the past, and who knows if it's going to be on there or not. So try not to think of the job aspect at this point, like the placement thing.
Okay.
Patsy.
Okay, thank you. I had 3 questions. And I forgot what the third one was. The first one is, I think I heard it takes 4 hours for me to submit the Google application, and I was wondering why that is. And so that's one question. The other question is.
Let me answer them at a time.
Okay.
It's a super long application is why
Okay.
it takes so long. Basically, we want you to write lots of information. So the reason why you should do it in a Google Doc as well is because sometimes if you refresh the page, you will lose all of your form progress and you'll have to rewrite out all of your answers. Also, Google Forms has a maximum character limit per section. So if you have it in the Google Doc, if for some reason it's not allowing you to submit your form because it's too long, then you can send us that Google Doc as well.
Okay, perfect.
That's question 1.
Thank you. And the other, you were just speaking about, job placement. Has there ever been anyone that had to relocate because the company that they wanted to hire them was far?
Great question. So for the 6-month placement part of our program, we are requiring our companies to have remote positions. If you love them and they love you and they want you to move at the end of that, then that is up to you to make that life decision or not. But we are really working on all of our contracts stipulating that remote is fine. If we do have, let's say there's a company that needs you to be in San Francisco, for instance, then basically we would ask people who either lives in San Francisco already or would like to move to San Francisco, okay, you will be interviewing with this company. And if you're like, I cannot move to San Francisco, then you just wouldn't interview with them, and that's totally fine.
Okay, I remember my third question. So you have, I don't know, meetings or conferences throughout the application process. do those, oh, you did say you accommodate for morning and afternoon, right? Like if someone currently has a job right now.
Yeah, so the application workshops are going to be Tuesday, October 25th at 6 to 9 p.m. Pacific, and Thursday, the 27th from 3 to 6 Pacific.
Perfect.
And then the
you.
next week, same thing, Tuesday, 6 to 9, Thursday, 3 to 6.
Okay, thank you so much. I think those were all my questions for now.
Great.
I apologize, I have to leave at 7:30. Can I finish watching the video
Yep,
via
it'll
a
be up on
link?
YouTube after
Oh,
it finishes
okay.
doing all of its stuff.
Thank
So look for it
you.
tomorrow, and we'll put the link in the participants channel too, or
Thank you.
the pre-applicants channel.
Thank you.
No problem. Hey, Irene. Oh, sorry, Christina.
No, I was saying that I'm seeing Irene, Viviana, Hailey, Darlene, Hans. So we will take your questions in that order.
Okay, so I have two questions. My first question is one about the long application. On one of the questions, you ask what tech company would we want to work for and why? Is it specifically a tech company or a company that has like a tech role available?
That's actually a great question, and thank you so much for asking. It could be anything as long as you explain me why. It needs to be a technical role, right? We are assuming that you want to be a software engineer, and it's something that you probably could ask yourself. There is several paths to enter the tech industry. You don't need to be a software engineer to enter the tech industry. Please know that. If you are more interested in design, or you can search for UI UX, or if you are more interested in project manager, there is the product manager or the project manager. Like there is a lot of pathways to enter the tech industry, but we are assuming here that you are interested in becoming a software engineer. So in that question, we are asking you basically what will be your dream job as a software engineer?
Okay, thank you. And my next question is one about the process for applications. I know that there is a staff and board interview. Is the interview more about knowledge about the basic JavaScripts, or is it more about getting to know us in personal?
I can take that one. It's about getting to know you personally, and I will give you all of the questions in advance. So again, I do not believe in surprises on anything at all. The questions are like, tell me about a time you had to learn something really quickly and you didn't know where to start. Tell me about a time you had a conflict with a coworker and what you did. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? That kind of question, and I give them all to you at the step beforehand in the email. So no surprises.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing a question in the chat about the pair programming code challenge. The code challenge for the actual pair programming will not be available before, but we already did the code challenge problem from 2021 in the study groups, and we can do that again. And I probably could show you the 2022 H1 problems. Like you will see at what level will be the code challenge and what kind of problems I will ask you. I will not give you the exactly problem, but you will see totally what is the level and what kind of questions I will ask.
And then you have 2 days for the take home. So you
Yes.
can study and take as much time for that as you need. Under 48 hours.
Viviana, you have another one?
My headphones died, so I hope I didn't miss this question before.
Oh, your sound is coming in and out. We can't hear you, sorry.
Can you all hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for telling me. Yeah. So for the long application, it's obviously long. For like the questions, you all prefer, like, Is there like a word limit that we're trying to hit? And I'm sorry if this question got asked before my headphones went out. So I wanted to ask that.
So Google Forms has a maximum character limit, and that's as much as you can do. That's one reason we recommend you putting it into a Google Doc. So if when you copy it over, you get the error of like, your submission is too long, then you can send us that. I will give you a tip for technical communication and better. Fewer but more precise words is better. So this is something we work a lot with in the cohort, is unlearning the English lit thing where a sentence should have 37 words when it should really have 5. So try to use as many words as you need to explain, but use 1 when 1 works instead of 5 when you could use 1. That's a great question. Holly? Sorry if I butchered your name. How do you say your name? You're muted if you're talking. Oh, you're on, okay. Let's
In the
see.
chat. Huh.
Has there been an individual who completely finished the program with no prior knowledge or experience in tech? Yes.
Several.
Yep. A whole bunch of people find out about this program 2 weeks before the application deadline. They cram through those 113, they dedicate their lives to it, and they graduate with flying colors. I think, Adora, weren't you one of those? Like, you found out about the program and you like just went for it.
Yeah, I was
So
typing it out. I was like, a few people in our current cohort, and my best friend was included. So yes.
yeah, so it's totally possible. It's a lot of work. It's a whole lot of work, but it's totally possible. And you're here now, so that's better than a week before the deadline.
Totally. Darlene, you have another question?
Hi, yes, I have a couple of questions. So my first one was about the long application. So I did try to submit it and I had gotten that error and then I shortened my answers. And after a few tries, it did go through. But I wanted to see if there's a way to verify I went through, or should I just send you guys like my Google Doc just in case? Because I want to make sure you have it well before the deadline.
Give me a second and I can check that. Give me a second, I will find
Okay.
that file.
Also, individual questions like that, you can always ping to Christina. She has access to all of that
I had
stuff.
emailed Christina like right after because I kind of like panicked for a moment. But I do have a separate question.
Yeah.
Also, is the JavaScript course on for Free Code Camp, do you think that's enough to prepare for the coding challenge? And also like the follow-up is, does everyone get sent the coding challenge, or is it only whoever kind of gets accepted after the long application?
Great questions. So the 113 are the baseline. And if you fully understand that, then in the application workshops, we add another course on top of it. And so the 113 and that data structures course that we do in the application workshops, if you fully understand that, then you will be good for the pair programming with Christina. If you don't understand it, then I'd recommend really looking into those things that you don't understand to get better knowledge with that. But those concepts are really the foundation of JavaScript. So no matter what technological path you take, having a really strong understanding of those will be really important. As far as who gets the coding challenges, if you get through the application workshops, those 2 mandatory workshops, then you would have the pair programming with Christina after that. And if you do well enough in that, then you get the take home. So you're sort of given the next step if you get that far.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And I just find your long application, so I have it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Hun, am I saying that right? Sorry if I butchered it.
No, you said it right. So my question is for the application, or when is it reviewed? Is it more reviewed like on a ongoing basis when you turn it in, or is it reviewed after the hard deadline and then everything is looked at once?
Everything's looked at once.
After
So
the deadline, yes. So after October 10, you will receive an email from me. Yeah.
So for right now, try to make sure that you're keeping either the 25th and 1st from 6 to 9 or the 27th and 3rd from 3 to 6 open. You need to attend one each week. So one of them that last week of October and one of them the first week of November.
And we highly encourage that you send your long application as soon as possible in case like Darlene that you have problems and you want to reach out to me and things like that. But you will not hear from me like officially if you made it to the application process until October 10. Saying that, what we work on the study groups, and I highly encourage you that you come to the study groups, is we work 30 minutes in the free code camp. We try to help people answer questions about that, and other 30 minutes doing code challenge and trying to learn how to solve problems on JavaScript. Very basic problems, and we build on top of that. So we highly encourage that you come to the study groups. Irene, Tanya, and Eric.
Hi, this is a question for Sarah. Can you re-explain what Darlene had just asked you? Because I'm a little bit confused. So the JavaScript basics aren't enough for like the pair programming and whatnot. We would have to be learning something else as well.
So the JavaScript basics, there are a couple of courses on the free code camp. The application process, which is 113, is what we learn in the application workshop. Oh, sorry, is what you need before the application workshop.
Okay.
In the application workshop, as a group, you're going to do the next course, which is the data structures course. So that one you will need as well. However, you do not need that now because we will be working on that together during the application workshops. And then when you work with Christina, it will be a culmination of both of those at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yes, I see. So we would be learning that the other one with everyone else as well.
Yes, exactly. So for now, focus on doing and understanding the 113.
Okay.
And we do have the study groups every Tuesday night to help you do that, have people answer questions. So I really recommend that you come to those if you're not 100% sure what everything is doing in the 113, because having that really strong foundation is going to be what helps you get there. Adora asked me a question and I'm going to answer it in front of everybody, if that's okay with you, Adora. So Adora, like we mentioned beforehand, started learning JavaScript like 2 weeks before the application deadline. So 2 days before the application deadline, which means she was not very great at JavaScript at the start of the program. As you can tell, and as we can tell, Adora is exactly the type of person we want on the program. She's super friendly, she's super smart, she's really quick, she helps other people, all other sorts of amazing characters. And so what we do is we have a conditional acceptance for some people. Normally between 2 to 4 people are conditionally accepted into the program. And during that pre-work, they have basically a month to really catch up to speed. So if you're thinking, oh, it's not really great, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get there, please still apply. And if we think that you're going to be able to, if like some really hard focused work, get into the, like, be able to do it, we will take that into consideration. So please don't not apply because you feel like you haven't spent enough time already. We will also say, okay, great. You're still not quite there. Please apply again next time. Irene, did you have another question or did I answer them all for you?
No, you answered it. Thank you.
Great. Okay, Tanya,
Hi, it is me again with another question.
questions are great. I love
So-
questions.
No worries. So I know the acceptance rate was about 8%. What would you say are kind of common, I guess, characteristics or trends of the applications that do get accepted, if I may ask?
The biggest thing that we are looking for are people that work well with other people. This program is extremely working with each other and teaching each other. So that's why the application workshops come first, and that's what we're looking for in those application workshops. Are you asking questions when you're confused? Are you listening and answering questions? Or are you talking over the other person and not allowing them a chance to get a word in edgewise? Are you inviting the person who's a little scared to talk? Are you inviting them into the conversation and pulling them in? Are you using your resources that you have available to you? Are you listening to the verbal instructions that were given? Are you listening to the written instructions that were written down? Those are major characteristics. The other major thing we're looking for is what's called a growth mindset. And what that is this concept of, I don't know this yet, but I'm really excited to try it and learn it. You are going to be faced with so much stuff that you do not know, and keeping that positivity and moving forward when things get tough are the most important thing. And yeah, so that's what we're looking for. And the ability to learn quickly, because you're going to get so much stuff thrown at you, and hopefully most of it sticks. Does
Thank
that
you.
answer your question?
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Eric.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. My question pretty much answered. It was about the coding challenge. The coding challenge. So basically, it's, of course, data structures and like basic level JavaScript. So you guys will most likely, the questions will be like trees.
No, so
Oh,
not that sort of
nothing.
data structure.
Okay.
So what Eric is talking about are what is called traditional data structures. And that's the type of thing that you might get on like
Interviews.
old school interviews. They aren't part of JavaScript, and so we don't cover them very much until the very end. The data structures that we're talking about are arrays, objects, and strings.
Oh, basic stuff.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Gotcha.
the JavaScript basic ones. If you do the free code camp, 113 lessons, and the next one, which is the data structures and algorithms one, which is arrays, objects, and strings, then that is what you will be talked about or asked about.
So later in the program, you guys would actually touch like trees, stacks, queues, and all this stuff, right?
Yep. We touch that after the applications with our sponsor companies, because part of our deal with our sponsor companies is that they will not ask you those questions in the interview. But we cover them afterwards because we know that that is something you will be asked in future interviews. So our kind of first step is to get you with one of our sponsor companies, and then how do you continue learning over the 6 months after that? So if you have to apply for another job, you are prepared for
Oh,
that.
that's amazing. All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Darla.
I just heard it. So clarification. So you don't have to take that whiteboard algorithm test.
Not for our sponsor companies. There is code challenges that they will ask you, but they are all JavaScript basic ones, and we will spend so much time practicing those in the program. I'll let Adora answer this. Adora, did you feel prepared for the sponsor interviews when the time came around?
Yes, I did. I actually did. I was one of the more nervous people about it because I got told at the beginning, interviews, oh my dear. So by the time we got to actually do the real ones, it actually was really good, and I did feel prepared. I was worried that I would choke at the code challenges, but I actually did not at all.
Oh, okay.
I did great. So yes.
So they were just the JavaScript.
Yes,
code
they
challenge.
were JavaScript code challenges. I think the most interesting one was like this space game. Hopefully they're gonna bring it back. I don't know, but if they do, hey, you heard it here first. But it was like this space game, and basically trying to make sure that you get it like the process to completion on like how the loop closes when you hit an item. It sounds like, what the heck now? But like actually in the moment, I was like, oh, okay, cool. I got that. Okay. That code there? Okay, yes. Like, that's all. Okay, great. Thank you. So no, it was actually very calm.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And I want to tell all of you, like I know that the technical interviews are complicated and data structures are complicated, but the basic is know how to work with array and objects on JavaScript. And that is not an easy topic. Like, you will get frustrated with objects, especially. I think that arrays are pretty straightforward, but objects in JavaScript are tricky. So if you want to go before the workshop for those with that data structure free code camp course, feel free. The course is there and it's free. You don't need to wait for the workshops to face that scenario. If you want to prepare, it help you, and we totally get it. So yeah, it's not a tree, it's not a binary tree, but it's an object, which is complicated enough on JavaScript. So, but we will practice again and again and again with you, all those kind of situations.
I wanted to reiterate again to everybody who's feeling, is this for me? I'm scared. I don't know this stuff. I've learned it on my own. You are exactly who this program is designed for. This program is designed to take you from nothing a couple of weeks before the application to software engineer in 6 months. So if you don't think you're ready yet, I really hope that you continue through the application process and see how far you get. And if you don't get in now, then you know what's going to happen next time and you're prepared for it. The reason this program exists is because people face a lot of barriers. When you're a woman, you're a non-binary person, you're a person of color, you have a low income, a lot of different barriers are against you. And so we expect that, and we help you at every step along the way. Please apply. That's all I have to say is please apply. And if you don't get in, we will help you figure out what you need to apply again. If you don't apply, then we can't help you figure out what you need to apply again. And better safe than sorry, right? Like, you might as well try. It is time consuming, but if you do the 113, then you got them done for next time. And you're already that much further along. And if you save your answers in a Google Doc, then you can use those same answers again next time. Key.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
So my question is the primary source that we're learning from Free Code Camp?
No. So we have a curriculum and it's on our GitHub page. Anybody can look at it. So you can look through and see the lessons that we have. We link to a lot of different things, a lot of different tutorials. We use our curriculum. We use a lot of articles. A lot of what we expect too is for you to find your own resources. So we know that everybody learns differently, and maybe the resource that we've provided doesn't work for your brain. That's totally cool. That's why we give you the end of day like goals. This is what you should know at the end of the day. So you can find whatever other resource works for you as long as you answer that question. So we use the Free Code Camp for the application process. And then after that, it's a whole bunch of other stuff.
Okay. While I have the floor, I just want everyone to know that if you're an SF, you can access Treehouse and Udemy through the public library if you have a library card.
Yes.
So I tried Free Code Camp and it wasn't really working for me. So I went on Treehouse and it had a more visual, like video type learning, and it helped a lot. That's
yeah.
Thank you.
Please, that's a great point. Please look at your local library. Like, a third of them have deals with Treehouse where you can get a free account with it.
Or
So,
if it, yeah, some library has deals with Treehouse, some libraries has deal with LinkedIn Learning. So you will have a bunch of videos there for learning. Some libraries has deal with local library, like they create their local curriculum. So reach out, yeah, a great point. Reach out to your local library. Probably will have access to free resources there.
Somebody had asked me this earlier in the chat too. You can lose whatever you want to learn. For the long application, you do need to take the screenshot of the 113 lessons though. So if you learn it somewhere else, it will make the 113 lessons go super fast because you already know it, but you do need to go through and do all the steps to take that screenshot. So yes, and Adora, I see a question for you in the chat. If you want to answer that, I'm going to answer Darla's question in the meantime.
Okay. The success rate, because I know in the past that everybody had got jobs except one person. So what is still the success rate of now? Has everybody been getting placed?
Yeah, so for the last two, let me start from the very beginning. From the last two cohorts, everybody that has started the cohort, last cohort, everybody completed. It looks like everybody this cohort is going to complete it. Before that, one or two people didn't make it all the way through the process. So that's to the placement getting the first job. We have been able to get everybody a placement for the last few cohorts. And within that, then you have a 6-month contract. We have about an 85% rate of people getting a permanent offer after that 6-month placement. For the people that do not get permanently placed, we help you. So we've partnered with, like, Ada has a continuing thing for people who've done boot camps. We've put people in there. We just put a couple of people into the, what's it called, Christina? The something. It's an open source, Major League Hacking.
Yeah, Major League
Into the Major League Hacking thing. So once you're part of the program, like, we are there for you for the rest of your career. And we have quite a network. So we really try to support and get everybody all the way through. Somebody asked me privately if this, oh, sorry, did you have another question, Darla?
Yeah, one of my friends, I guess she tried to get on and boot it out. She's in Sacramento. She said, do you reach out to tech companies in that area? I know it's still remote and everything.
Yeah, great question. So for those of you who don't know, Techtonica started off in the Bay Area, and all of the companies at that point were Bay Area local. And then since the pandemic, we have been remote. So our partner coordinator has been reaching out to companies all over the US now that offer remote placements. So I'm sure some of them are in Sacramento, but I don't know which ones.
Oh, okay. I'll let her know. Okay,
great, yeah. And somebody had asked me a question about, is this like an official certificate program? We offer a certificate. This is not college credit. You do not get a college degree. Just like other boot camps, you get a completion certificate, and that is that. I will say for pretty much every tech job, they don't really care about a degree. Some larger companies like have that as a requirement. Like I know Intel really wants people with degrees and stuff, but most companies don't care. It's more about if you're able to do the stuff or not. Irene.
Hi. For the applicants that complete the program, what are some ways that we can give back to Techtonica, or they have already given back to Techtonica?
Oh, I will ask you so much things.
It's all volunteering. So like we'll ask you to be an Adora and come in and talk to a group, or to volunteer at the application workshops, or to come and talk to the new cohort and tell them about your experience, or to mentor. We didn't really talk a lot about mentors. Let's talk about that real quick. Every person gets a personal mentor, which has given you a commitment to help you for 2 hours a week. and some people have 2 mentors. And that means we need a lot of volunteers to commit to helping out for a few hours a week. And we will definitely ask that to be you of like a year after you graduate when you're getting all cozy with your job. So yeah, we ask you for all sorts of volunteer help afterwards and spreading the word and that kind of stuff. We will never ask you, like, we never expect you to give us money. Someone had asked me that too. It's like, do you expect us to ever? We never expect you to give us any money. If you feel the urge, I'm not going to stop you, but I'm not going to market to you and I'm not going to expect money from you at any point in time.
Thank you.
Tanya, and I think we have time for just a couple more questions.
So I did see what days the next study group meetings are. I usually get off of work at 6, so I might drop in a bit late. Is that totally fine? I wanted to let you know before. Okay, awesome.
They're just sort of open for a couple hours, so you can drop in whenever. Great question.
All right, for sure. That's all.
Yeah, okay. I think we have time for at least 2 more questions if people have more questions. If not, let's take a screenshot while you are thinking. And I remember, look at that. So if you feel comfortable, please turn on your camera and I will take a screenshot. We are
Flip your
very
hair. Put on
happy
a
to
happy
see
face.
so many of you here. It's amazing. Okay, on my tree. 1, 2, 3. There, perfect. Thank you so much for participating in this. I don't know, any other question? Tomorrow we will have a study group and we will have another info session on Thursday with the Latino Foundation on Washington. If you want to come to that one because you just thought about another question, feel free. I put all the information in the Slack channel, but if you have questions, just throw me an email and I will try to give you the link too.
So for the study group tomorrow, if you go to our Eventbrite page, you sign up there, and then you will get a calendar invite for all of them. Also, please, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Hannah, did you have a question? Hannah?
Hi. So my question is for Adora. So during your transition process over to Sony, how did you connect with your other peers and mentors? Like, do you set up a weekly meeting with them or one-on-ones? Like, how does that process work?
Just to clarify, like the peers through the cohort or at the job?
At the job.
Okay, through the job. So first I winded up setting up coffee chats, so 30-minute meetings just to get to know the teammates. Yeah, that was nerve-wracking as well, but I think it was really beneficial because it let me see them see me, and we just talked about like really informal things. So that's how I found out that one of my coworkers, like me, is an anime nerd. I was like, what are you watching right now, sir? And so we were talking about those things, and it was really good. And the same thing with my mentor in the job as well. So on the first day, I had like a last minute meeting with him and my manager. And I used that to basically like start the network Slack communications, because of course we'd been in touch before via email, like leading up to me actually starting, but I used that to kind of like jumpstart the in the network. So yes, coffee chats and Slack.
Okay, thank you so much for all of you for joining us tonight. We are very happy to see so many of you tonight. We encourage you to apply as soon as possible to the long application. reach out to me if you want an invitation to the Slack channel. I just put it in the channel, the link to the study groups. I will send those calendar invitations tomorrow. There will be another info station on Thursday. And yeah, that's all for us. Thank you so much for coming. And I think we can let you go to the rest of your night.
The link for the Slack channel is Christina's email, which is a little further up in the, you send her an email and ask. And Adora, someone had asked if they can connect with you on LinkedIn.
Yes, I'm on my work laptop though, so I have to send the link to Christina to maybe drop in
We'll
the
stick it in
Slack.
the, yeah, we'll stick it in
I
the
was
Slack.
like, I'm on my work computer. I can't, my personal account's not at work, y'all.
And Christina just stuck her email in the Slack again, so, or in the chat. So please email her to get an invite to the Slack. Okay, and we will post this up probably tomorrow or the next day on YouTube, and we'll put the link to that also in the Slack channel. Really, please get on the Slack if you're not already there. That is the best way to get a hold of us. Email takes a long time to get back to, so get on the Slack. Eric, one last question.
Yes, sorry. The YouTube channel, is it Techtonica or?
Yep.
Okay.
And we'll put the link to it in the Slack as well.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Have a wonderful night, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And please
Thank
apply
you.
and tell your friends to apply.
All right, bye.
Hey.
Thank you.